In this video, I want to talk about one of the most interesting patterns in SML. Mr. Goodman, the richest, most arrogant, and most openly anti-poor character in the series, occasionally ends up becoming poor himself. These episodes are fascinating for a very specific reason. They temporarily remove the single thing that defines Goodman's entire identity: his money. To understand why that matters, we first have to understand who Mr. Goodman actually is within the SML universe. Goodman is not just a rich character. He is written as the exaggerated embodiment of wealth, power, and superiority. His personality revolves around money. His confidence comes from money. His authority comes from money, and even his insults are centered around money. Poor people disgust him. Financial struggle is something he mocks, and inconvenience is something he believes he should never have to experience. That is exactly why the episodes where Goodman becomes poor stand out so strongly. They do not simply change his financial situation. They completely destabilize the character. When Goodman loses his wealth, he loses control, and control is everything to him. Across the series, there are a few major instances where Goodman either becomes poor, experiences poverty directly, or attempts to live without his usual financial safety net. The most famous example is SML movie The Bet. The episode begins in a very familiar way. Mario cannot pay his house payment, and Goodman arrives, and this time Mario proposes something unusual: a bet Goodman will most likely not lose. Goodman views wealth as proof of superiority, so when he agrees to the bet and goes all in, it is not portrayed as reckless gambling, it is portrayed as absolute confidence. He genuinely believes losing is not a realistic outcome. The bet revolves around a cooking competition, and Goodman wagers all of his money on himself winning. Then, something rare happens. Goodman fails. Chef Pee-Pee wins the competition, and Goodman realizes he has lost everything. The shift in his behavior is immediate. The same character who constantly mocks poverty suddenly panics at the idea of experiencing it. He cries, he begs, and for one of the only times in the series, Goodman is not in a position of dominance. He is vulnerable. What makes this episode especially revealing is how Goodman responds to becoming poor. He does not reflect on how he treated others. He does not develop empathy. Instead, he immediately searches for a loophole. When he spots a puddle at Walmart, he instantly recognizes an opportunity to exploit the situation, fake an injury, sue, and regain his fortune. By the end of SML movie The Bet, Goodman is rich again and behaves exactly as he did before. The experience of poverty does not transform him. It's treated as just an inconvenience. Another important example appears in the SML movie Goodman's New Life. Unlike The Bet, Goodman does not lose his money here. He loses his position. Through a body swap scenario, Goodman is forced to live Marvin's life while Marvin experiences Goodman's. This episode almost functions like a character experiment. Marvin gains wealth and power, yet remains relatively kind and relaxed, while Goodman, trapped in Marvin's lifestyle, immediately spirals. He cannot tolerate basic inconveniences, he insults Rose, and he reacts to ordinary problems as if they are unbearable punishments. The contrast is the entire point of the episode. It shows that wealth itself is not what creates Goodman's cruelty, it amplifies what already exists. Goodman's breakdown demonstrates how deeply his sense of self is tied to status and privilege. Poverty, to Goodman, is not just a lack of money, it is a loss of dignity and control. Eventually, the situation is reversed, and Goodman returns to his luxurious life. Although he briefly claims to have learned something, the ending clearly suggests relief rather than genuine transformation. Another example occurs in SML movie Mr. Poor Man. This time, Goodman is not forced into poverty at all. He voluntarily attempts it, but only as a strategy. After discovering he may be obligated to pay enormous child support, Goodman decides the solution is to appear poor so he cannot be legally required to pay. This premise alone is incredibly telling. Goodman does not fear poverty for survival reasons. He fears it because it represents loss of power. Throughout the episode, Marvin tries to teach Goodman how poor people actually live. Cheaper food, cheaper clothing, fewer luxuries, and constant limitations. Goodman finds the entire concept unbearable. However, he never intends to truly embrace poverty. He simply wants the advantages of being perceived as poor while secretly maintaining his wealth. By the end of the episode, he abandons the act completely and returns to normal without any meaningful change in perspective. Looking across these episodes, a consistent pattern emerges. Whenever Goodman becomes poor or experiences poverty, the story temporarily removes his greatest source of confidence and authority. This produces panic, humiliation, and sometimes brief moments of discomfort, but the outcome never truly changes. Goodman always returns to wealth, and when he does, his personality returns with it. These episodes are not redemption arcs, they are temporary disruptions of power. They allow viewers to see Goodman without the financial shield that defines him, revealing how fragile his identity actually is beneath the arrogance and intimidation. Because for all of Goodman's confidence, the series repeatedly suggests that his greatest fear is not losing money itself, but becoming the very thing he despises, ordinary. Follow me if you want to watch more funny videos like this one.